Okay. Yes, Alhamdulillah. Inshallah, we start our class today by reciting Kitab Al-Fatihah. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Arrahmanirrahim. Maliki yaumiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas mustaqim. Shiratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Okay, how are you all today? You're all fine?
Alhamdulillah, Doctor. How about you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine as well. Yeah. Alhamdulillah. Yes, still not ideal, yeah. Still constrained at our own places, at our home or mahallah, some of us. But inshallah, we are always in a good spirit. Yeah? Inshallah, we have a husnuzan to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whatever behind this, inshallah, the best thing for us. And then maybe we can get something good out of this anyway. Okay, yeah. I had a bit of mistake in planning, so I didn't manage to look into the slides very well before this class. Yeah. So if you could bear with me, especially later when we talk about the next types of model of motor, the more complex one. Yeah, my memory is not as good. Some people, when they teach once or twice, it's already stick to their mind. For me, I have to keep revising at least a bit before the class. Right. Okay. Anyway, inshallah, we continue our lesson. Yeah, we continue our lesson. So I've got two screens. So sometimes I look down because the screen is where I can write, which is down here on my desk. And one of the screens is on my side, so I can see if any of you is typing or something or try to say something. Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. I will share with you now the slides. Yeah, we're going to continue from where we left last time. Okay, I'm sharing a window. I cannot find it yet. Just give me a minute. Okay. Can you confirm if you can see the screen now? I mean the slide, my slides.
Answer.
Yes, Doctor. We can see.
Okay, good. Yeah. I don't know how do you follow this kind of meeting? Are you using a laptop or a mobile phone? I guess if you're using a mobile phone, it's quite difficult, yeah, to see with small screens.
We can make a focus and like by our hand going to inside the words to see.
Oh, I see. Okay. So how many of you are using mobile phones and how many of you are using laptop? Maybe you can write on the chat box so I know the numbers. Just wanted to know.
I will change to laptop after 10 minutes.
Okay. It's okay. I mean, yeah, because maybe not every one of us have got an access to a laptop now. But it also help me especially to present. If I know that most of you are using mobile phone, I will try to be. Maybe I cannot do much, but I try to be more careful in what I write and so on. Yeah. Okay. Right. Let me see. I still haven't been able to open the. Oh, here the chat box. Okay. Yeah, you can type in if you want. Are you using a laptop? Just type laptop or mobile phone. Okay. Right. Okay. In the meantime, yeah, you can keep typing. Yeah. I will also stop the slide as well. Okay, I think we start with this example here. I think we finished with this slide last time, discussing what factors are what we call affecting the torque induced when we have a single loop rotating in a magnetic field. Okay, so that's the last time, and then we did find that there are three factors, which was the flux, the current, and then the constant representing the machine design. And similarly for the induction of voltage, when we have a single loop, then there are three factors as well, three variables, three parameters, which are again the constant, and then the flux, and the different thing is the current. When we talk about induction of torque, the third parameter will be the current, which is could be the most important thing. For example, when you have later on, when we have a permanent magnet DC motor, then with permanent magnet DC motor, the flux in the system is constant, because you've got permanent magnet, you cannot change. If you're using a coil, then you can increase or decrease the current, and then so that you adjust the magnetic field, or the flux. But when you are using a permanent magnet, then you cannot change the flux. And in this case, the equation will be even more simple, because then you can combine because the flux is constant, and then you've got another constant, you remember the three parameters, the constant, and then the flux, and the I. But the flux in permanent magnet is constant. So the first two terms, i.e. the constant representing the design and the flux, can be combined together. You can just multiply them together, and then you get one single constant. So your equation becomes torque is equal to a constant times the current. So you can just play with the current to change the constant in that permanent magnet DC motor. And permanent magnet DC motor is one of the types of motor that we use most in our project, especially during our study. In fact, I think I did tell you I spent like 8 years in industry before, and if you like, coincident maybe, but the one that I used most was DC motors, in addition to brushless DC motors. Brushless DC motor is actually an AC motor, not exactly a DC motor. But DC motors are still widely used, permanent magnet DC motors. Okay, now let's have a look at this example 7.1. See if we can answer this. I mean, we have the answers here, so it helps us. I think I'll just go through the answers given in the book, and then I will just try to explain further, especially if there are any things that may be a bit tricky, or there are a bit more for you to understand better. Maybe it's not straight directly understandable, but maybe if I give a bit more explanation, it will becomes more it's become clearer for you. Right. Okay, so if you look at the illustration here, you can see directly that it's kind of a motor connection. Although as we did have a bit of discussion through the WhatsApp group, motor is also behaving like can be behaving as generator as well. Okay, the figure shows a simple rotating loop between curved pole faces, which is these are the pole faces. Especially, obviously, is this, we are talking about these faces here. Okay. Connected to a battery. You got this battery on the left. This is the battery, and a resistor, through a switch. So you've got the resistor, and then you've got the switch here. The resistor shown models the total resistance, so it represents the total resistance of the battery and the wire in the machine. So all the battery, it has its own internal resistance. The wires also has internal resistance. and also the coil inside the motor also have resistance. So this resistor, we are using just one single resistor to represent all this. Yeah, so we just add them up together. Right. So because if we are not having any resistor in the model, in our model here, then will be in difficulty. Yeah? Because you apply voltage in a closed loop, there is no resistance, so you end up with an infinity current, yeah, which is not realistic. Yeah? Okay, so we have to include the model of the resistance of the wire here. Right. Okay. And it's very important. Yeah? The value of this resistor is very important, because if you use the wrong value, yeah, then your current calculation will be wrong, your torque calculation will be wrong, etc. But in our course here, the resistance will be given. Yeah. But I remember when I was working in the company, then I had to work out what is the value of the resistor, yeah, or the resistance that had to be used in the model. Yeah. So we had to do some experiment for that. Okay. Not complex experiment, but you need to do it, and then you need to be careful, yeah, because if you're using the wrong equipment, for example, there are too much error, then or you measure the wrong ones, yeah. Because even a piece of wire, let's say you have let me draw it here. Let's say you have your battery here, okay, but then your motor is like 2 meters away, so you use a long cable to connect it to the motor. This wire, yeah, sometimes people overlook. Yeah, they need to measure the resistance of this so that the model becomes accurate. Yeah, and I did this mistake. I overlooked the wire. I just measured the resistance of the motor, yeah, and then I got the inaccuracy in my model was not that good. So then I found out that I had to measure the resistance of these wires and then include this in the model. Yeah? Especially if you got again long wires. Okay. Right. Okay. Now we got the values of the resistors and things. And else, yeah, we got the R is 0.5 meters. What is R? R is uh, the radius, yeah? The radius of the rotor. Is that correct? Yeah. So 0.5 meter, 50 centimeters. So we are talking about quite big machine here. Yeah? 1 meter diameter. Okay, and then the L, which is the L is the length here, yeah, of the segment on the side. Okay, it's 1 meter. You can see, you can imagine it's a quite big machine. And then the R, the resistance is 0.3 of an ohm, and magnetic flux density 0.25 Tesla, and battery voltage is again it's very high voltage here, 120 volt. Yeah. So yeah, frankly speaking, I didn't have this kind of experience in the industry. I was using small motors. Yeah. This is we're talking about very big motors here. Okay, what happens when the switch is closed? Yeah, so that's the first question. Can you answer? Have you already the answer for this? Anyone already revised this question before? Or look into this question before? Yeah, what happens to the switch when it's closed? Okay, now we close the switch. Yeah. I will look at the answer later on, just quickly. I think this one I can answer easily. Right, so you close that switch, yeah? So it becomes, now you've got the closed loop now. So current will start flowing because you've got closed loop. You can see that current can flow, yeah, around the what you call the loop, and then coming back to the battery. Okay, so current can flow, and it will flow in this direction. Yeah. Correct. Okay, I think you can follow still up to here. Yeah, and now how much current will you get? How much current will you get? How do you find the current?
V divided by R.
Yes, V divided by R. What is the value of V?
120 divided by 0.3.
Louder, please.
120 divided by 0.3.
Okay, correct. So the I V divided by R. Here VB, V of the battery, over 0.3. So value is 400 ampere. Okay. Is this high or low current? 400 amps.
Very high.
Very high, yeah. Correct. The electricity sockets, main sockets at your homes. How much current can it supply? Anyone knows? Safely.
8 ampere.
How much? 8.
Jadi 8.
8, yeah.
I just look at my extension and see that the power is max power is 3000 watt, and I just divide by 240 volt.
Okay. Which
Like that.
extension? Oh, okay. This is the extensions.
This is extension.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Okay, that's good number. Yeah, 8 amps. Yeah, still within the range. However, the highest appliances, electrical appliances, maybe if you have like a water boiler, a kettle jug, the fuse being used is 13 amps normally. That's the highest one. But yeah, that's the limit. But it should give us some feel what is the range of the current. Yeah. So it's about 10. Yeah, this sort of level range. But now we are in this question here. We've got 400 amps of current. So yes, it's a very high current. Yeah, it's a very high current. Okay, and then if this current is flowing at this level continuously, certainly it will damage the motor. And this is why this is one of the problems with motor, yeah, that it has a very high starting current. Yeah, people call it starting current. People call also inrush current. Yeah, inrush, INRUSH. Yeah. That is very high. So people have to come up with some mechanism, yeah, to bring this starting current down. Yeah, otherwise it might be damaging to the motor. Yeah. And then we'll see later how people or the engineers prevent this, yeah, or try to reduce the starting current that will be flowing into the motors. Okay. So I think that's the answer, yeah, of question part A. Yeah. Okay. So you got BB. Yeah. Right. Oh, it's already mentioned about the talk. Okay. Yes. The one that we answer is really at the very beginning, just instantaneously after we close the switch. Yeah. But then what will happen after that switch? Apparently the answer also include that one, not just at time 0 or at the time when you close the switch, but also what will happen after that. Okay, this is what we have done. Yeah. Right. Okay. Actually, this is interesting. They already introduced the induced voltage here. So which is not very apparent if you look at the circuit. You don't see this one because what you can do if you draw the circuit again, yeah, to be more clear, you've got the battery here, you've got the resistance, yeah, and then you have this motor with the induced voltage. Yeah. Yeah, remember that when the motor starts, this is what we discussed actually. if any of you followed the discussion in the WhatsApp group this morning, then when the motor starts rotating, then because you've got magnetic field and then you've got wires, the wires rotate or move inside the magnetic field, and therefore you induce voltage will be induced. Yeah, this is one of the electromagnetic laws that we discussed previously. Yeah, again, a piece of wire moving inside a magnetic field. Yeah, then this is the cause for having induced voltage. So you've got some induced voltage. Unless the wire is stationary, which is at time 0 before we connect the before we close the switch, it was not rotating. Yeah, the rotor was stationary. So there is no V, and therefore the induced voltage will be 0. Yeah, so at t equals 0, I should make it bigger. When t equals to 0, the induced voltage equals to 0 as well. And that's why I didn't include this in my calculation previously. Yeah, but the author of the textbook already include the induced voltage in the equation. Yeah, it's come from this circuit here. So this circuit here, if you write by using KVL, yeah, Kirchhoff's voltage law, then you'll find that here VB, yeah, will be equals to induced voltage plus IR. Yeah, induced voltage plus IR. This is by using KVL. Okay, and then you can rearrange this, that I equals to VB minus induced voltage in the motor divided by R. Okay, right? And again, at t equals to 0, this was 0, so the I is simply just VB over R. This is what we did. Yeah, so we already assume that we already know that there is no induced voltage at the time, so we didn't include it. Right. Okay, but then fraction of seconds after that, the motor starts rotating. Yeah, the rotor starts rotating because why? Okay, why? Because you've got high current. Yeah, 400 amps of current, and then when you've got this current flowing in the wire, and the wire is in the magnetic field, then force will be induced. Yeah, you should understand this. Okay, and from our previous lesson, yeah, you've got a wire, current flowing inside the wire, and then the wire is located inside the magnetic field. Therefore, force will be induced on the wire. Okay, and because this wire is part in the loop, yeah, that is pivoting around an axis, so the force then will becomes a torque that will rotate the loop. Okay, so after the 400 amps, you've got induced torque, and this means you've got acceleration, and it means that the omega, yeah, the speed of the motor will start rising. And when the speed starts rising, then you've got induced voltage in the motor. Yeah, so this is the sequence. Close the switch, I flowing. You go very high I, then it means you've got a very high torque, high acceleration, speed change very fast, yeah, and then you've got increasing induced voltage in the machine, right? Okay, so if we go back to this equation here, VB equals to this, or this equation, that the induced voltage is no longer 0, but it's increasing now. Okay, as the induced voltage is increased, what will happen to the current? What will happen to the current when the induced voltage is increased? The I will be decreasing or increasing or station or fixed?
decrease.
Yes, correct. Okay. So as the motor is gaining its speed, it's getting faster and faster. The induced voltage getting higher and higher. And if you look at this equation here, as this gets higher, the current will be lower. Yeah? Because VV minus larger value will give you a smaller value, and that's why the current will be lower as well. Okay. So as the induced voltage is gaining speed, the current will be getting lower and lower. Okay. It's getting lower and lower until eventually actually the induced voltage keep increasing until it become equals to VB. Is it discussed in here? Yeah, as the current falls, yeah, the induced voltage decrease. Yeah, okay. Yes, as the induced voltage is increased, the I is get decreasing. This is it's going in a loop. Yeah, the I decreasing, then it will affect this. So the torque will be decreasing as well. So the acceleration is less. The omega change at a lower rate. Yeah. But still increasing. Similarly with the I, and then it's keep going like this until the I eventually becomes zero. Until I becomes zero, and therefore the torque becomes zero as well. And when the this is torque, yeah. And the accelerations become zero as well. And when acceleration is zero, means the omega is constant, no longer changing, no longer increasing. When the omega is constant, the EI is constant as well, which is at the time it will be equals to the battery voltage. Okay. So what it means? It means that the motor will be running at steady state speed, at a constant speed. Yeah, it's reached the maximum speed. Okay, and yes, at that point, interestingly, there's no current because there's a balance now that VB is equal to the induced voltage. Yeah, no current, and because no current, there is no torque. Yeah? Remember, torque is, as we discussed before, is 2 over pi, the constant, times flux times current. As current is zero, therefore torque is also zero. The torque also zero. Okay. Then this what we call the motor is reaching its steady state speed. Yeah. Okay. I hope that's quite clear. Any question?
Sir,
Yeah.
is that the generator work like that as the motor? Because we know that generator is producing current. So how to make the current is not zero like in this motor?
Okay. Right. Yes, we don't know. Yeah, in generator, it's a good question. I have to think about it. And also, yeah, this is another tricky bit. Yeah, when we discuss about electrical machines, like in our course here, especially at the beginning here, because later on, as we go along, we will focus more in one topic at a time. Yes, when we talk about generator, we just talk about generator. When we talk about motors, we talk about motors. But in this lesson here, we keep switching between motor and generator, which takes a bit of time for our brain to switch from one to another. Okay, so your question is how to avoid because as a generator, when we've got a generator, we don't want to have the current equals to zero, yeah, because it's not going to be useful if the current is zero. Okay, the current is zero. Let me think. Voltage is the okay. Yeah. Actually, it depends on the load. Yeah. Okay. yeah, this is the smartness of the nature. Yeah, so it's showing to us actually there is a very intelligent creator behind it. Yeah? So it can adjust itself. There's like a self-control in this. Okay, you've got a generator. Let me draw a generator. How do I draw a generator? Okay, you've got a generator. You've got still the resistance. Okay, this is the internal resistance, if you like, of the generator. I simplify the model. This is the generator itself with back EMF, or the internal generated voltage. Later on, we call it EA actually, internal generated voltage. Yeah. Okay, this is let's say this is the generator, and then we connect a load. There has to be load. Okay, that's the thing. So the current can be zero actually if you are not connecting any load. Yeah, if you don't have any load, your question is about a bit advanced here. So I have to introduce a bit more additional information. Okay, if you're not connecting any load, current cannot flow, right? So there's no current because it's an open circuit. So the current is zero at this point. However, the generator is still functioning in a way that you still have the voltage. Yeah? So this is just like a battery that is not connected to anything. You've got the voltage but no current. Yeah? So also bear in mind that zero current doesn't mean zero voltage, yeah? And vice versa. Later on, we'll see. Okay, so you still got the voltage. The generator is still functioning, but there's no current, yeah. And there's no need for current anyway because the generator is doesn't have any load. The generator doesn't have any load currently. Now, if you have a load for a generator means some impedance. Yeah, it's represented by impedance. And if you want to make it simple, assume just there is no reactance, there's no inductance or conductance, so just purely resistance. Now, if you connect a load, then current can flow. Yeah, because then if this is the voltage, the induced voltage is EA, then the current will be or let's just use the what we have here so far, the induced voltage divided by R plus the R of the load. Okay, so this is what will happen. So the current will only start flowing in a generator when you've got a load connected to the generator. Okay, now when because of the load and the current will start to flow, this will then induce the counter torque. Yeah. Then you will have a counter torque in the generator, and then what will happen? Generally, the counter torque is opposing the external torque that you apply to the generator, and therefore the what you call the speed, yeah, the speed of the motor will be falling, of the generator, sorry. So the speed of the rotor will be falling. It will depends on the external torque that you apply to it actually, how fast. But yeah, you've got if your the torque, the input torque is constant, yeah, you've got the input torque, then you will get the minus the counter torque. Yeah. Then what will happen? There will be the net torque will be less, and the acceleration will be less. Okay, I was looking into. Sorry, just a minute. Yeah, if the torque is less, you still have acceleration, which is not true. Okay, you've got the friction. Okay, just a minute. Give me a minute. There's something not right here. If the induced voltage is there, okay, you've got external torque, and then you have the speed. Your current is 0. Stopping the. Oh, this is interesting. Where's the current? How can you not have the current in this voltage? Okay, sorry. Yes. Okay. When you connect this load here, yeah, then you've got the current. Actually, the current will keep increasing, yeah, depending on the until actually we've got another balance here. So this will keep increasing, yeah, until we've got the balance where the input torque is equal to the what we call the contra torque. Yeah, we did mention this with the contra torque. Yeah. So when this becomes equal, then the what we call it will reach the steady state speed. So the speed of the which is defined by the probably the external torque as well. But this is the conditions why the rotor can be running at a constant speed rather than accelerating or decelerating. So there is a kind of closed loop here. Yeah, when you connect the load, it will affect the current. Yeah, otherwise there's no current, and then it will then create or generate this contra torque. In addition to this, actually, this is not the only torque that is present. Yeah? Apart from the input torque and contra torque, there is also friction in the system. It's also torsional. It's also torsional. Yeah, it has torque as well. And then, being a friction, yeah, in the system is going in the opposite direction to the direction of the motion of the motor, of the rotor. Yeah. Okay, so has it answered your question?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, yeah, the idea is different. Yeah. Again, first the generator is still working although there's no current. Yeah, because if you are not connecting any load, and then secondly, the current will adjust depending on the load that you apply. Yeah. If you apply a very high resistor here, then the current will be low, and then the input torque from the external will be low as well. Yeah, it will kind of self-adjusting. I.e., the wind doesn't have to be, if it is a wind turbine, doesn't have to work so much on the blades. Yeah? But if you then reduce the resistance, which is increasing the load, basically, current will be higher. So the wind has to be stronger to be able to rotate the what they call the blades of the turbine. Yeah. Okay. So you need a higher speed of wind. If the wind is only moving slowly, then it will not be able to move the blade. Yeah. So all this is just like a closed loop system. Okay, so where are we now? Okay, going back to the question. Okay, so yeah, very high current you've got, and then you've got initial torque. The torque will then rotate the rotor, and it will gain speed until it then reaches steady state speed where the where the currents become zero, and then the induced torque becomes zero as well. It's reached the steady state speed. Okay, the next question is this. What is the machine's maximum starting current? We already calculated, yeah, 400 amps. And what is the steady state angular velocity at no load? Okay, yeah. Let's just have a look at this example, yeah, to make it more straightforward. Okay, at no load steady state conditions, the induced torque must be zero. Yeah, we already mentioned this. Yeah, when the omega is fixed, is constant, yeah, steady state, it means that the torque will be zero. Okay, but the torque, the induced torque is zero. It means that the current is also zero. Yeah? Now following that equation, remember. Okay, this is zero, so it means the I also zero because the flux is not zero. Yeah, you've got magnetic field here. and the flux is non-zero. Okay, and the fact that I equals 0 means the battery voltage equals to the induced voltage. Yeah. Okay, we did have the equation before. Where was it? This one here. Yeah. Okay, when the I is equals to 0, it means that VB equals to the induced voltage, yeah, which is 122 volt. Okay, where are we? So, okay, therefore the speed of the rotor can be then calculated as follows. Yeah. Okay, VB equals to the EM induced voltage, which is equals to this. This is the again the equation that we derived last time. Yeah, for the induction of voltage. 2 over pi the constant times the flux times the speed, angular speed. And then you can rearrange this because we want to calculate the steady state speed. Yeah? This is what we want to calculate. Okay, so you rearrange for this, omega equals to VB over 2 over pi times flux. Okay, right? And then you convert it into this by using that remember the flux is equals to B times A, and the A was we did calculate before. A equals to pi r times L, right? So you've got this equation from that. Yeah. Again, this is you use this information here, B times A, while A equals to pi r L. Okay, then you can once you've got to this point, you've got all the values. You've got VB, you've got R, you've got L, you've got B. So you can just substitute all this variable with the respective value, their respective values. Yeah, then you can calculate the value of the steady state speed. Okay, but the calculation I think is not difficult, but what we need to have here is the understanding. Yeah, the understanding such as that when it's steady state speed, it means that the induced torque is 0, and when the induced torque is 0, the current is 0, and so on. So we need to understand this. We need to have this understanding. Yeah, otherwise we will not be able to answer the question, although the calculation is simple. Yeah? Okay. Okay, I think that's all right. Yeah, let me know if you still have questions on that. And then the next question is: suppose a load is attached to the loop, and the resulting torque is 10 Newton meters. What would the new steady state speed be? Okay, so can I copy? Right. So you connect a load, yeah, and then what would be the new steady state speed, and how much power is supplied to the shaft of the machine, and how much power is supplied by the motor, and is it functioning as generator or as a motor or a generator? Okay, so you got quite a few questions here. Okay, first of all, the concept, yeah. When we talk about load, we need to check, yeah. Are we talking about motor or generator here? Yeah, so load can be referring to electrical load. It also can refer to mechanical load or torsional load. So when we talk about motor, when it says load, it means it's torsional load. Okay, but when we talk about generators, loads means electrical load. Yeah, in terms of impedance. Okay, can be represented by impedance. Okay, so here a load is attached, meaning this is a torsional load because we are talking about motor, and that's why it's given here. The resulting load torque is 10 Newton meters. So you imagine you've got a motor, then you apply torque, load torque to the motor. Yeah, the motor was already running. What would be the new steady state speed be? Okay, that's the first question. So it was running at steady state speed before at this speed 480 radian per second. Now you apply the load, 10 Newton meters. Oh, okay. The question is also here. So, okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. When it will have a new, it will have a new steady state speed. What is the net torque when this new steady state speed is reached? Can anyone answer that one? What will be the net torque? The total torque in the system when we have this new steady state speed. Anyone still with me? Hello? Anyone? Have I lost everyone? See the screen. Can anyone answer? What will be the when it reaches the steady state speed? What will be the net torque at that point?
0.
Yeah. Okay. Good question. Good answer. Yeah. So yeah, when we reach the new steady state speed, it means there is no acceleration, which means acceleration, which means that the net torque in the system also 0. Yeah. And what torques are available? What torques are present in the system? We've got 2 torques, right? The load torque, and the other one is the induced torque or the motor torque. Yeah. So they have to be 0. Okay, just give me a minute. I think I need some tissue. Okay, excuse me. Right. Okay. So you've got 2 torques, the load torque and the motor torque, but the net torque has to be 0. When we reach this new steady state speed, meaning that these 2 values, the load torque will be the same. These 2 torques will have to be the same, but in the opposite direction. Okay. So the motor torque has to be the same as the induced torque. The load torque. And the load torque is defined already is being 10 Newton meters. And therefore, at that point in time, the induced torque has to be 10 Newton meters as well. They both will be the same. Okay. The new steady state speed will be lower, because it's initially you've got some it's running at a constant speed. Then you apply this torque. Being low torque, its direction is the opposite to the direction of the rotation. So the motor will slow down. It slow down until then. When it slows down, as the rotor slows down, the induced voltage will be going down as well. So the induced voltage will not be the same as the battery voltage anymore. Okay, and the induced voltage will be lower, and therefore current will start flowing in the system. Current will start flowing means that then you've got the motor torque comes back. Yeah, the induced torque will be there again. Yeah, and yes, as the motor's speed is falling, this induced torque will be higher and higher. Yeah, until eventually the induced torque will be the same as the load torque, and at that point, the speed of the motor is no longer going down, but it stays the same. Yeah? So if I can plot it roughly against time, and we're talking about uh, torque and speed. Yeah. So initially the motor starts running at steady state speed, yeah, which is 400 and something. We calculated before, yeah, this one 480. Then let's say at this point, then you apply this load. You apply the load. Watch out, yeah. The blue is for the speed, and the orange is for the torque. So at this point, then the motor will start reduce its speed. But at the same time, I'll use red then for the torque. The torque was easy. The induced torque of the motor was initially 0. But when as you apply the load to the motor, then it will increase. Yeah. So it will increase following the fall of the speed until eventually what you call it reaches the the speed or the torque. Oops, why is different color? Yeah, this will be the same level as the load, and at that point the steady state speed is reached. So it's like this. Okay, so you can imagine, yeah, the torque is increasing and the speed is decreasing at this when you apply this load. Okay, right. Okay, so we've got this information that the induced torque is equal to the load, and then remember the induced torque is equal to this. Yeah. All right. I've got the running mouse now. Sorry. Just a minute. Okay. Just give me a minute. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Right. Where are we? Okay, so yes, we've got these two are the same, yeah. The magnitude of these two are the same, not the direction, yeah. Direction will be the opposite. And we know that the induced torque is equal to 2 over pi times flux times I, yeah, times current for a single loop. Yeah. So from there, you have this equation. You can rearrange, yeah, and then again by using again the information that B equals to that B is, sorry, not B. Flux is equals to B into A, and A is equals to pi RL again. Yeah, then you can change from this to this equation, and then you can then plug in all the numbers that you have to find the current. Okay. Right. Okay. So now the current for that when you apply that load is 40 amps. So you can imagine that as if you increase the load, then the current will be higher. If you reduce the load, the current will be lower as well. So this kind of self-adjusting, which is a very nice system. Okay. And then what's the next question? Oh, we still haven't found the answer yet. We want to find the steady state speed. Okay, once you've got the current, then we want to calculate the induced voltage at the time, because the steady state speed is a function of the induced voltage. Yeah. So basically, later on we want to use these equations to find the speed. 2/pi times flux times omega. Okay, this is what we want to find, and to be able to find this, we need this one first, and this is what we want to calculate now. Okay, the induced voltage, we use the KVL. The induced voltage equal to VV minus IR, and you then just put all the numbers in, and then you have these new values for the induced voltage. Then you can use this equation. Yeah, again, then you should be able to get the answer is 432 radian per second, which is lower than before. Before it was 480. Yeah, now it's 432. So it's running at a lower speed. Okay, time is running out. I think we can only finish we'll be lucky if we can finish this question in this session. Okay, now the next question is how much power is applied to the shaft of the machine? So this question here is referring to the mechanical power. The power is applied to the shaft of the machine. So we are talking about the mechanical power, and then that's why we use here the mechanical variables, which are the torque and speed. Yeah. So power is equals to torque times speed, which we know already the values of both. Yeah. Okay, so you get 432 watts. Yeah. And then the next question is, what is the power supplied by the battery? Yeah, and this is, we are talking now about electrical power. Yeah, because it's supplied by the battery, so power is simply voltage times I. So VB times I, which is 4,800 watts. Okay. So you can see this is like the input to the system, that is the output, which are not the same. Yeah. So there are some losses. Yeah. And this the next question is, well, is the machine is a motor or generator? Okay, and the motor is operating as a motor, converting from electrical power to mechanical power. Yeah, you can see from which one is higher, yeah, regarding to the power. And you can also answer this question by looking at the current, actually. Which direction the current flowing? Is it flowing from the battery to the motor, or the machine? Yeah, or from the machine to the battery? Yeah. If the current is flowing from the battery to the machine, then it is a motor. But if the current is flowing from the machine to the battery, then it is a generator. In order for the current to flow from the machine to the battery, it means that the induced voltage in the machine has to be higher than the voltage of the battery. Yeah. Okay. But in this case, our induced voltage is 108 and the battery is 120. Yeah. So the battery voltage is still higher, and current is still flowing into the machine. It means so this is still operating as a motor. Okay. Okay. Now, what time is it now? 36. Okay, next question. Yeah? Let's see if you can finish at least this example. Very good. Suppose the machine is again unloaded. Okay, now you remove the load. So the load will be 0 again. And a torque of 0.75 Newton meter is applied to the shaft. Oh, now you apply a torque, but in the same direction of the rotation. Yeah. Unlike before. Before, when you apply the load was going against the rotation of the motor. But now, the torque that we are applying is in the same direction as the rotation. Yeah. what is the new steady state speed, and is this machine now a motor or a generator? Okay, you understand, yeah, this example here, this question, that we are applying torque in the same direction as the rotation of the motor. And remember, before we unload first the motor. Yeah? So when we unload the motor, the motor will gain speed again. The speed of the motor will go up again until it reaches the previous steady state speed, the first steady state speed that we calculated, yeah, which was 480 radian per second. Okay, and then after that we apply this torque in the same direction. Okay, so is it a motor or generator now? Right. If a torque is applied in the direction of the motion, the rotor accelerates. Yeah, you got acceleration, and then what it means? Yeah, you've got torque, you've got acceleration. It means that then. Okay. Excuse me. I think your question was too difficult for me to answer. It's causing me to have this running nose. Right. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, we got the torque. This will cause acceleration. Acceleration means the steady state speed will go up. What does it mean then? It means that the induced voltage, yeah, which is equals to, remember, I'll write it again until you keep repeating, you keep seeing this, so you will remember automatically. Yeah. Induced voltage equals to 2 over pi times flux times speed. Yeah. So as the speed is increased, this will also increase. Okay. And previously the induced voltage was already, before we applied the torque, the induced voltage was equals to VB, yeah, the speed of the battery voltage. But now the induced voltage is increased. It means that it becomes higher, yeah, larger than the battery voltage. So you can imagine that then current will start flowing from the machine to the battery instead of from the battery to the machine. Yeah? So because current is flowing from the machine to the battery, then it is a generator. Yeah, it's behaving as a generator. And yeah, if you want to calculate how much current, then we can do so. Yeah. So first we apply the torque, and when we have the torque, then there's a current associated with it, which is 30 amps, and then you can, yeah, this current is flowing from, remember, this is not from the battery but from the machine to the what they call to the battery, from the machine to the battery. Then you've got the current, and then you can then calculate what is the induced voltage, yeah, which is 129, yeah, higher than the VB, and then after that, then you can calculate the omega, okay, which is 516 radian per second. Right. Okay, and then the final, is it the final one? I hope it's the final one. We still have a few minutes, I suppose. We still have 9 minutes. Suppose the machine is running unloaded. What would the final steady state speed of the rotor be if the flux density were reduced to 0.2? Okay, it's unloaded again, so we remove the torque, yeah, that we gave in the previous question. Okay, the motor running at steady state speed again, which is 480 radian per second. This is the value that we got in the first question, or first or second question. Yeah. now the question is, if we reduce the flux, what will happen? What will happen to the speed? Okay, the question again, question that we have, equations that we have is induced voltage equals to 2 over pi times flux times omega. Yeah. So here in this question, we reduce this flux. Reducing the flux density will bring the flux down, yeah, because flux is B into A. Yeah, if you reduce this, so the A is constant, so flux will be reduced as well. Okay, and the question is, what will happen to the steady state speed? Okay, at this, I think I'll just follow this answer here. If the flux decreases, there is a transient. Yeah, there's time at some time span. There will be a change in the values. Yeah, in the flux, in the current, and so on. However, after the transient is over, the machine must again have zero torque. Yeah? You remember at steady state speed that the torque will be zero again. Yeah, since there is still no load on its shaft. Yeah? Yeah. So the net torque will be zero, and therefore the induced torque also zero because there's no load. Okay, and then if the induced torque is equal to zero, then the current in the rotor must be zero as well. Okay, remember again, induced torque is equals to 2 over pi times flux times I. Okay, so this is zero, so the current must be zero as well, and therefore the battery voltage will be equals to the induced voltage. Yeah, because current is zero, induced voltage will be equals to the battery voltage again. Okay, which is 120 volt. Yeah. Okay, so now if you then use this information, you substitute this in this voltage with 120 volt. If you calculate the flux, then you can find the new omega or the new steady state speed. Yeah, and then if you this has been done for us, so this is the answer: 600 radian per second. Okay. Again, the calculation is not difficult, but it's just the understanding. Yeah? We need to know what does steady state speed means. Steady state speed means that the net torque in the system is zero. Yeah? And if the net torque of the speed is zero, if there is no load, it means that the induced torque will be zero as well. Okay, so this kind of thing that we need to understand. Otherwise, we won't be able to get the answer that required. Okay, so if you look at this is very interesting. So when you reduce the flux, what will happen to the speed? The speed increase. Before it was 480 radian per second. Now it's 600 radian per second. Yeah, so it's quite a significant increase actually. Yeah. Okay, notice that when the flux in the machine is decreased, its speed increases. This is the same behavior seen in the linear machine, and the same way that real DC motors will behave. Yeah. Okay, so in some motors it's very dangerous when it can be very harmful to the motor. If suddenly the magnetic field becomes zero, yeah. If, for example, the coil generating the magnetic field fails, the motor can go into a very high speed, and it can be mechanically damaging, yeah, to the motor itself. Yeah, it goes very high speed beyond the specification of the motor. So in some motors, then we want to prevent this from happening. Yeah, so there should be some protection system. It has to detect when there is something wrong with the magnetic field generating coil, then stop the motor from stop the motor from rotating. This sort of mechanism can be important. Yeah. Okay, I think that's all for that we can discuss for today. Yeah, beyond my expectation is only covering one example. Okay, any questions from you guys at all?
Nothing from me, Doctor.
Okay, that's good. That's great. Anybody else wants to have any question or any comment or anything?
No questions, sir.
No? Okay, that's good. Yeah, if there's no question, that's good. Yeah. Again, I think what I want to highlight again is it's not the calculation itself is quite simple, as you can see. It's just a simple calculation, but the understanding behind it, that you need to, the underlying physics, yeah, i.e. Steady state speed means there's no change in speed. Again, the net torque will be zero, and so on. Yeah, and it means there has to be balance between the load and the induced torque. If there's no load, then induced torque will also be zero. Okay, and also another thing to understand is when do we say that a machine is behaving as a motor, and when do we say a machine is behaving as a generator? So again, one of the things that you can see is the direction of the current, or the voltage comparison. Yeah, if the induced voltage is higher, then it's generator. It's higher than the battery voltage, yeah, or the supply voltage. If the induced voltage is lower, then it's a motor. Yeah, or you can also see the direction of the current as well. Is it coming from the motor, or is it coming from the machine, or is it coming from the battery? Okay, I think anybody else wants to say anything? Any question or comment or anything? Otherwise, then I think we can conclude our session today. Yeah. Okay, we can conclude by reciting Suratul Asr and Tasbih Kifar. Okay, again, all right. As usual, thank you for your participation in the class, yeah, and for being patient with me, going through these slides through online video call. Inshallah, we meet again inshallah next week. I think we'll still be on this lesson. Yeah, hopefully we can finish this lesson by next time, inshallah. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, see you again later, inshallah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, sir.